So Tetsuya Nomura and a Disney executive walk into an elevator. What? You think I'm joking?
I couldn't make this shit up. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. I'm sad that I lack the talent to make this shit up.
Let's go back to about 1996, shortly after the successful release of Super Mario 64. Square Enix, then called Squaresoft, was just about to hit the 3D scene with Final Fantasy VII, and they happened to share an office in Tokyo with Disney at the time. That's when the meeting happened and ideas started getting bounced around. I haven't found any evidence to support this, but the story goes that they originally wanted to make a movie, but decided to do a video game instead with Mickey Mouse as the main character. Mickey was then changed to Donald Duck, who was then changed to an original character, a boy named Sora, though Mickey and Donald still have very important roles in the series. In 2002, Kingdom Hearts was released, and to be honest, the commercials didn't convince my 11-year-old self. Sure, I was excited to see characters like Aladdin, Hercules, and Jack Skellington, but there were also characters I didn't know. I didn't really know about Final Fantasy at the time, so I had no idea who characters like Cloud or Sephiroth were. It didn't help that the concept just sounded plain silly. A 14-year-old boy running around with Goofy and Donald Duck, and meeting our favorite Disney characters while bashing monsters and Disney villains over the head with a giant key. To go through the story of the game itself would be a massive undertaking, as there are so many things that were left unexplained until later games, or just outright retconned due to those explanations. The basic premise is that there are these creatures called Heartless, and they come in two varieties. Pure blood Heartless, who are the living darkness in people's hearts, and artificial Heartless, who are created in a laboratory and branded with an emblem to distinguish them. Their MO is to find the heart of a world and destroy it, thus destroying the world itself, and unless the inhabitants manage to escape, everyone sort of, well, kicks it. That's what happens to Sora's home, the Destiny Islands, one night. See, he and his friends Riku and Kairi were building a raft to help them leave the islands and explore the world, but the Heartless put a damper on that plan. Riku was swallowed by the darkness, Kairi lost her heart, I'll explain about that in a bit, and Sora was given the Keyblade. In another world called Traverse Town, he meets up with Donald and Goofy as well as some beloved Final Fantasy characters, Yuffie, Sid, and Aerith from Final Fantasy VII, and Squall, now calling himself Leon, from Final Fantasy VIII. There they learn about the Heartless and decide to join forces since Donald and Goofy are also looking for the missing King Mickey. Near the end of the game, we find Riku again, only he's been possessed by the main bad guy of the game, Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness. He's been working with the Disney villains, Hades, Jafar, Captain Hook, Oogie Boogie, Ursula, and Maleficent, to gather up 7 princesses of pure light to open the door to the heart of all worlds and discover the titular Kingdom Hearts. These 7 princesses are Cinderella, Belle, Aurora, Jasmine, Snow White, Alice, and Kairi, but Kairi's heart is now a part of Sora's. You see, in the Kingdom Hearts series, the heart is a metaphysical concept. It holds a person's soul and memories. Sure, there is the actual heart, but that's not the one people usually talk about. A person's heart can be transferred from one vessel to another for whatever reason, be it to be possessed someone like Ansem did with Riku, or for protection like Kairi did with Sora. The final battle is at the heart of the world, right in front of Kingdom Hearts, and do you people see this thing? This is what happens when you tell Nomura to design a monster and never fucking stop. And guess what?
Kingdom Hearts is light!
Blinded by the light, wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night.
With the Heartless defeated, the worlds go back to their proper places, but Sora's mission with Donald and Goofy isn't over, because they had to seal Riku and Mickey on the other side of the door to darkness, and so the 3 of them head off to continue their adventures. Before I continue with this, let me just say that the combat in the first game is a little clunky when compared to later installments. I get that the Keyblade is a blunt object, but Sora doesn't have to swing it like a club. I often find myself trying several times to hit a Heartless even just one time. The bosses are pretty fun though, well, most of them. Jafar could suck a Keyblade, and while I don't have as much of an issue with Ursula as most people do, the swimming controls in Atlantica could be better, and I hate how Oogie Boogie tends to fake you out this sack of fuck. Anyway, let's move on. In 2004, we saw the next installment of the series on the Game Boy Advance.
However,
this was Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Now, let me ask you something, folks.
Why make the next game for a handheld that most people may or may not have? Did Square Enix really think the parents would shell out the money for a Game Boy Advance and the game itself? And yes, they were going by Square Enix at this point. The first Kingdom Hearts game was actually the last game they released under the Squaresoft moniker.
Not only did this game see light on a different console, it also drastically changed the gameplay style, going from a hack-and-slash action RPG to a card battle system.
And that right there is why I could never really get into this game. I don't play video games to play children's card games. If I want to play a children's card game, I'll go fucking play a children's card.
It's time to do.
The game did help progress the story by introducing the shadowy Organization 13, though in this game we only meet about half its members because they're stationed at the location the game is set, Castle Oblivion. Sora, Donald, and Goofy are led there by one of the Organization members, and they slowly start to lose their memories thanks to a girl named Naminé rearranging them. But they're not the only ones in this castle. Riku has managed to get out of the realm of darkness, found his way to the castle, where he has to deal with not only the lingering presence of Ansem in his heart, but also this replica that Vexen made. Just about every interaction with Riku and the Riku replicate can be summed up as this.
I found you, Faker.
Faker? I think you're the fake hedgehog around here. You're comparing yourself to me? Huh? You're not even good enough to be
I'll
my
make you eat those words.
If you're wondering why I'm not talking about the story, well, it's because the story is Sora, Donald, and Goofy losing their memories and fighting the organization, defeating Vexen, Lexius, Larxene, and Marluxia. In the end, Naminé put Sora, Donald, and Goofy to sleep so she can put their memories back together, while Riku goes off to do something about the darkness in his heart. I know there are a lot of people who like Chain of Memories, but I can't get into it thanks to the card battle system. Also, if you're wondering why the game looks like this and not like it's on a Game Boy Advance, that's because you're seeing footage from the 2008 remake on the PlayStation 2. The thing about giving a game a subtitle is that it can confuse people. When Chain of Memories came out, I thought it was Kingdom Hearts 2, and can you blame me? It is the second game in the series. But the true Kingdom Hearts 2 would not come out for the PlayStation 2 until 2006, and it is easily one of the best games of all time. It's certainly one of the best games in the series. Picking up 1 year after Chain of Memories, we start off as a guy named Roxas, who we soon learn, after a 3-hour tutorial, that he is Sora's nobody. Yep, this game introduces a new kind of enemy, nobodies, who are all commanded by the surviving members of Organization 13. You see, when a person becomes a Heartless, the empty shell they leave behind might take on a will of its own. This is a nobody, a being with no heart that's slowly fading from existence. After the events of Chain of Memories, there are only a few Organization members left, and as you might expect, you take them all out during the course of the game, save for Axel, who lost himself. There are some new worlds in this game, based off of Mulan, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Tron. Fun fact, The Lion King was going to have a level in the first game, but the hardware wasn't quite up to snuff to handle Sora on 4 legs. Now, let's talk about retcon, shall we? The word retcon is short for retroactive continuity. It signifies a change to an already established idea in a fictional environment. And it was in this game where we got our biggest retcon thus far. You know Ansem, the guy we worked so hard to kill in the first game? Yeah, well, that wasn't really Ansem. That was a guy pretending to be Ansem. The real Ansem is an old guy voiced by the late great Christopher Lee, who had an apprentice named Xehanort, who got split into 2 beings. The guy we fought in the first game was just Xehanort's Heartless, who had taken on Ansem's name as a mockery.
You mean...
What? We went through all that trouble to defeat an imposter?
And Xemnas, the leader of Organization 13, is Xehanort's nobody. As for the other guy, well, that's what Riku looks like now after using the power of darkness to subdue Roxas. How did that happen? More on that later. The final boss fight against Xemnas has to be one of the best boss fights in all of video games. I'm not just talking about that giant fucking dragon you fight, but the fight in... I guess the world of nothing? I don't know, they never explain. But after this fight, and after the end of the game, where Sora, Riku, and Kairi are reunited with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy on Destiny Islands, we fans began the long wait for Kingdom Hearts 3.
But we won't even get an announcement for a very long time. So in part 2 of this retrospective, we'll take a look at the next 3 games in the series. 358 over 2 days, Birth by Sleep, and Coded.